In this video, you're going to learn how to make the greatest app of all time. All right, I'm using a very underrated tool, one that is buried on the website that we all know and love, that is code.org. These are the people that literally created the Hour of Code, if you've ever heard of that. But they have a tool that's called AppLab, and I find it to be one of the best ways to learn how to design a mobile app if you're a beginner. But even if you're not, it's a great way to test out ideas, and it's free. So all you got to do is make an account, and you're pretty much good to go. When you get right down to it, it's really just a simplified version of the Xcode IDE, which is how you make iOS apps, and Android Studio, which is the IDE for making Android apps. So in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make basically just an example app. But when you launch it, you see you have this greeting here. I click on it, it says hello world, and it asks for your name. And I'm going to show you how you can have the user input information and store it. And there's a couple of other sections. I have this game here where I can move this character around. They call it a turtle. And also a contact section where you have a drop down where you can have either a phone number or an email show based on what you choose. So let's go ahead and let's go back to the very beginning. And this is what it looks like when you start a new project. And now we're going to go back in time to the very point that I started creating the app that I just showed you. All right, we are now back in time. I have not created whatever it is what you just looked at. So let's go ahead and add a title to our app. So I'm going to go to the Design tab and drag over the ABC label. And all the properties here, I will tweak them a bit to put in the information. So I'll put in the greatest app of all time. All right, and you can see it kind of looks messed up over here. So I'm going to drag this corner down, resize it a little bit, and I'll change the font size in the properties to about 25. That looks good. Drag this down a little bit, and let's center the text. So in the text alignment, I'll change it to center. And so when I run the app, there you go. It's beautiful. It says the greatest app of all time. Now, the first thing you got to do whenever you test out a new piece of programming software is write hello world. So let's have a button that when you press, it will spit out the words hello world. So I dragged in a button. Let's change the button ID. This is what we will be referring to in code. We'll call it button greet. All right, and then the actual text on the button, we'll put greeting. All right, that looks good. Let's run it. I press the button, nothing happens. Nothing happens because I haven't added the code yet. So let's go over to the code tab and have an event that, when activated, will write the text. Let's see, write text. In this case, it will write hello world. All right. And I got to connect this to the actual button. So if I hover over the button here, you see the ID is called button greet. And so I will change the ID here to button greet. So when button greet is clicked, write hello world. And let's go ahead and run that. And when I click the button, you see it says hello world. We are up and running. I can keep clicking it for fun. Let's make this a little bit more interesting and add a few more screens. So I'm going to have to go over to the Design tab, and using the drop down up here, I will click New Screen and do it once more so that I have 3 screens total, 2 new screens to work with. And what I'm going to do right off the bat is in the code, I'm going to add a function for each screen. A function being a task that you're going to refer to frequently. So I'm going to go to the functions category here and drag over function my function. And I will change the title of the function to screen 1 F for function. And instead of doing that 2 more times, what I'll do is click the show text button up here, and I will copy this 2 times just to make it easy, and then just change the numbers on it. Little speed hack I showed you there. So let's put in the screen block in each one. So when the function is called on, it sets the screen. So when screen 1 is called, it sets screen 1, and so on. So I got to switch the screens here to link up with each function. All right, so now we got some nice clean code. Whenever I want to switch screens, I will have a function to go along with it. I want to show you how to make buttons in code. I could easily do it in the design tab by dragging over some buttons, but I want to show you how you can make buttons in code. So I'm going to drag over 3 of these button blocks, 1 for each screen. And actually that's redundant because there's 3 screens total. You're going to be on 1 of the 3 at all times, so really we only need 2. Since screen 1 is going to be the default screen when you open the app, these buttons are going to be placed on that screen. So I will point these buttons at the 2 other screens. And what I want to do is have a game screen. We'll call it game. And I want to have a contact screen. And so this is the text that will be on each button. And for the button ID, let's give it an ID that we can refer to. Button screen 2 and button screen 3. Okay. And now we want to connect these buttons to the functions. So we'll go on event when button screen 2 is clicked. We want to run the screen 2 function. And for that, I'm going to go over here and pull in a my function block and type in the name of the function, which is screen 2f. I'll copy and paste this text to make it quicker and just change the numbers. So button screen 3 will link to the screen 3 function. We haven't linked to the screen 1 function, but we will. First, let's run the program and see if it works. Okay, so you see the buttons are created here. If I click game, all right, it brings me to the game screen, which is screen 2, I'm assuming. The problem is I have no way to go back, so we're going to have to fix that right after I test the contact one. And then, again, I'm going to assume that that's screen 3. So let's go ahead and add some back buttons. I will go to screen 2, and in the design tab, I will add a simple button and call it back for what the user will see. And for the ID, I will call it button back screen 2. And then let's add one on screen 3. Except this time, let's have an image that will serve as our button, because I want to show you how this works. You can actually choose an icon for an image. So once you drop an image in, you can click the choose button and then click on icons up here. And they have all these icons that you can use, which is really cool. And I'll use a left arrow for the back. And for the ID of this image, I will refer to it as a button. I'll call it button back screen 3 or S3. Okay, and now we got to link it up in code. So let's have an event for the back button on screen 2. So on event, when button back screen 2 is clicked, let's run the screen 1 function. So I'll pull in my function and change it to screen 1f because that's the name of our function. All right, and then we'll do the same thing for the back button on screen 3. And again, I'm doing the copy and paste the text trick. So button back screen 3 is clicked. I think I used a lowercase s. Not sure if that matters, but can never be too sure. And they're both pointing to screen 1 because it is a back button. All right, let's test it out. So I'm going to run the app, click on game, back button brings me back, and click on contact. The back image brings me back as well. Okay, so our code worked. All right, and let's beautify this thing. Let's make it look nicer. Let's go to the design tab, and you can see they got these different themes here. I can change the theme of the entire app, meaning the look of it, just by changing the theme on it, which is really cool. This is actually a new feature. What do we want to go with? The greatest app of all time should be Dark Scheme or Blue Steel. Blue Steel, that sounds powerful. Let's go Playtime? Yeah. Nah, it looks like a clown. Let's go with something simple, like Classic? Yeah, Classic. That's nice. Now, let's work on screen 2 and 3. I said I wanted screen 2 to be a game, so I want to show you this quote-unquote turtle function that they have, where you can control this arrow with code. And I want to have 4 buttons that will control the quote-unquote turtle. All right, it'll be basically forward, backward, turn left, and turn right. All right, so let me change the IDs of each button. So this will be our up button. So we'll call it turtle forward, and we'll say forward for the actual text on the button, and then turtle right for the ID, and for the text we'll have turn right, and then we'll just keep going. All right, and then we will link up the code to each of these buttons. So I'm trying to keep things for each screen with each function. So actually, I'll move this function up, and this is just not tidy enough. So one trick that I found is if you show text and you just put in some blank lines, it will actually add that in the blocks section. So let me show you what I mean. I got the screen 1 function right here, and everything that goes with it under it, until we get to function screen 2, and then I'll put 3 blank lines in between that, and the same thing for screen 3. All right, and when I go back, you can see it adds in these white blocks, and that's just to keep things organized. So I have basically a section for each screen, and this is a little messy as well. Let me make sure that the screen 1 function is at the top here. All right, and back to the turtle code. Let's go ahead and we'll have an event for each button. So I'll go to the on event piece and have 1 for turtle forward and 1 for turtle backward, left, and right. All right, and we'll go backward, left, right. And then for the actual turtle, we'll go to the turtle category here, and we'll have it move forward in the forward event, move backward in the backward event, turn right in the right event, and left in the left event. Let's see how it looks. We'll run the program, go to the game section, and when I click forward, you can see the turtle comes right out of the forward button. I might want to move that, but again, looks like our code is working, and this is a very amazing game. So let's code our contact screen. So for the contact screen, I want to do something a little different. I want to add in a drop down for the contact. So let's label the screen. I'll pull in a label, and we'll say text contact, and we'll make it nice and big, drag the corner just like in the beginning, make the font size bigger. Oh, gotta drag it a little bit bigger. Center align, and I want it even bigger so we know we're on the contact page. And for the drop down options, I'm going to go to the properties over here, and the first option won't really be an option, but it'll be more of an indicator for what to do. All right, so it's telling the user to select, and I'll have two options for contact: phone and email. All right, so let's see how that looks. When I run the program, I'll go to the contact page, select, I drop down, I got the phone option and the email option. And so we'll have it so that when you select each, it will show you the information for each. So we'll add some control blocks to code the dropdown. So we'll go down to our screen 3 section, and I'll go to on event, so that when the dropdown is clicked, we will have 2 control pieces for each selection. So we'll add a couple of if statements, one for each. All right, and basically we're going to use a block in the math category to check for what's in the box. So it's this equals piece. So if blank equals blank, then do this. All right, and let's fill that with a couple of yellow pieces. So we got to get the text of what's in the dropdown. So we'll add in this get text piece for the beginning of each. If the get text of dropdown 1 equals blank, then do this. And we'll do the same thing for the next. And then I just got to type in what it could be. So we typed in phone before and email. Okay. And so if it's phone, then what do you got to do? You got to output the phone number. Email, same thing, but email. All right, and I forgot to put in a vehicle with which to output the text. So what I'll do is go to screen 3, go to design, and I'll add in what they call a label. And this will be our, let's call it our whiteboard for what we can output either the phone or the email on. So what I'm going to do is erase the text that's on it so it's blank, and we'll call this, what I call it, whiteboard. Yeah, okay. And then we'll go back to the code, and we will set the text of our whiteboard to, in this case, the phone number. We'll say 555-5555. All right, and then we'll do the same thing for the email, except we will be my email at 555-555.com. Okay, so let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. We'll go to contact, we will select phone, and boom, you got the phone number, and email, you got the email that we put in. We can go back, and everything is fine. Now, the final thing that I want to show you is how you can have a user input information and how you can store and call from it. So I'll add on screen 1 a way for the user, when you click greeting, a new menu pop up that'll ask for the user's name, and the user can type in their name, and the app will store what the user types in. So let's go to the design tab, and we'll have a piece of text come up that says, what is your name? All right. And then we'll have a text input field under it where the user can type their name, and then let's pull in an image that they can touch or click that will submit their name. All right, so for the image, I'll choose the icon of thumbs up. How about that? Okay, and then let me get the IDs right on this so we can easily code it. So we'll just call this input label 1, input label 4. I'll just add input before the ID of each one. Input text input, and then input image 2. All right. Now, what I want to have happen is when the greeting button is pushed, I want all this to show right here. So let's go back to our code, and we will have, when the button greet is clicked, we will have these 3 pieces show. So show element, and show element. And then we just put in the IDs of each element. So input, input. All right, so these will all show when that button is pressed, and to ensure that it doesn't show when you launch the app, I want to have it hide when you launch the app. So right off the bat, we will hide each one. So hide input, hide input, hide input. Okay, so these will hide when the app is launched and show when the greeting button is pushed. And then let's code the submit button. But first, let's just make sure it's all good to go. So I'll click run. When I click greeting, it all shows, and I can type in it. Our thumbs up doesn't do anything yet. So let's code that right now. And this will pull what the user typed into memory. So we'll go on event. When the greeting button is pushed, we are going to create a record. So let's go over to the data category and create record. By default, it says my table. You can leave it at that, but you can call your table whatever you want. And we're going to leave it as name, but we're going to pull the text that the user typed. So we'll go to UI controls and we'll say get text. And what is that? That is input text something. Input text input 1. So we'll have two things happen. First, we'll thank the user for clicking submit. So we'll say thanks for clicking. And then let's also use what they wrote by writing it back to them. So we'll say write, we'll go back to data, get column, write. On my table, we will write the name here. So we'll say name. All right, let's test it up. We'll click run. We'll click greeting. It says hello world. Oh, we got a problem here. You can see we have an error. This is my first bug in this whole tutorial. I should actually be proud. I have the create record set to the greeting button. I meant to have it set to the submit thumbs up picture. So let me go back and fix this. So we'll have an event for the submit picture. And what was that? The ID is input image 2. So when the thumbs up is clicked, that's where we want to have this happen. And I'm going to switch the name of the table so we start a fresh new table just so it's not corrupted with that other mistake I just did. And I should have known better. Look, I got 2 events for the button greet. It's shameful. All right, here we go. So let's test this out. So run, click on greeting. What is your name? We'll say baloney. Or do I write balagna? Balagna. All right, and then I'll submit. And it says, thanks for clicking balagna. All right, it's not the smoothest way to talk to your user, but I think you get the idea. And yeah, so when you're all set with your app, you can send it to your phone. It's a cool feature that they have. You can click share, and they have this option to send it to your phone. You'll have to put in your phone number, and thus you'll have to trust code.org with that information. But obviously, this isn't something you're going to put on any app store for real. It's just a way to learn. So I hope you did learn in this video. I tried to go over a bunch of the basic functions that you might work with and tools. And if you enjoyed this video, I got lots more coming, so feel free to subscribe or comment or whatever you're supposed to do on YouTube. I really don't care. I just thank you for watching today. Have a good one.